For decades, the name Seagal meant one thing: bone-crunching Hollywood action. It was a brand built on Aikido, broken wrists, and blockbuster films that defined an era. The name itself conjures images of a martial arts legend, an icon of impossible toughness. But the next chapter of that legacy isn't being written on a movie set. It's being forged inside a wrestling ring through pain, doubt, and a refusal to be defined by anyone else's shadow. This is the incredible story of Arissa LeBrock, a story not of privilege, but of perseverance. It's a journey of how a dream that was shattered into a million pieces was painstakingly rebuilt, proving that the toughest fights happen far away from any camera. A legacy of action. A legacy of beauty. What happens when the daughter of a Hollywood legend and an iconic supermodel decides to step out of their enormous shadows and into the unforgiving world of professional wrestling? This is the story of Arissa LeBrock and how she turned a career-ending injury and crushing self-doubt into a comeback story that's just getting started, proving that legacy isn't what you're given. It's what you build with your own blood, sweat, and tears. To understand the weight on Arissa LeBrock's shoulders, you have to understand the legends who cast the shadows she grew up in. Her father, Steven Seagal, is a 7th Dan black belt in Aikido who became one of the most recognizable action heroes on the planet. Her mother, Kelly LeBrock, was an iconic supermodel and actress, a defining face of 80s beauty and glamour. Born into Hollywood royalty, a life on the red carpet seemed practically preordained. But Arissa was raised away from the limelight. After her parents' high-profile divorce, her mother moved the children to a quiet ranch, intentionally shielding them from the glare of Hollywood. This upbringing instilled a different kind of spirit in Arissa. And while she did eventually follow in her mother's footsteps, building a successful career as a plus-size model and even starring in the reality show Growing Up Supermodel, another side of her heritage was calling to her. It wasn't the movie business, but the real-deal combat sports that lay at its foundation. Arissa began serious training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This was not a celebrity hobby. It was a fierce and dedicated passion. She became a dedicated competitor, entering tournaments, winning medals, and building a foundation of legitimate combat skill. It was this unique blend of runway charisma and mat-savvy grit that put her on a collision course with a new, even more unforgiving world. In December 2019, the call that every aspiring wrestler dreams of finally came. World Wrestling Entertainment invited Arissa LeBrock for a tryout at their high-tech performance center in Orlando, Florida. This was it. The chance to merge her two worlds and prove she was more than just a famous name. The dream was so close she could taste it. And then, in an instant, it all fell apart. The WWE Performance Center is a factory for making superstars, but it's also a meat grinder, designed to push the world's most elite athletes to their absolute limits. For Arissa, the pressure was immense. In the wrestling world, a famous last name can paint a giant target on your back. She was ready to embrace the grind and prove she belonged. But somewhere in that grueling, high-stakes chaos, disaster struck. While the exact details have been kept private, the result was a major setback. Shortly after the tryout, Arissa suffered a serious injury, one so significant that it completely derailed her wrestling ambitions. Think about that for a second. You decide to chase this impossible dream, push your body through the toughest test of your life, and you're right on the verge of a new career. Then, just like that, it's ripped away. Not because you weren't talented enough, but because of a catastrophic injury. The momentum she had built, the dream that was so close, was suddenly and brutally gone. The wrestling world, it seemed, had chewed her up and spit her out before she even got started. Because she was never officially signed, there was no statement from WWE. As far as the public knew, she just vanished. This silence fueled a storm of internet rumors. People speculated she couldn't handle the pressure or had been secretly blacklisted. The myth was born. Arissa LeBrock got her shot, blew it, and disappeared. The reality was far more tragic. The physical toll of the injury was immense, but the psychological damage was arguably even worse. Arissa later admitted with incredible vulnerability that she had fallen into a deep, dark place. In her own words, she confessed, "I realized that I had become comfortable in the darkest, worst place in my life." The dream seemed to be over. For years, the story of Arissa LeBrock, professional wrestler, was destined to become a forgotten what if. But in wrestling, the best stories are often about the comeback. Just when it looked like her story had ended, her phone rang. On the other end of the line was a man who knows a thing or two about legacy and reinvention, Dustin Rhodes. Dustin, the man the world knew for years as the brilliantly bizarre Goldust in WWE, is now a revered veteran, coach, and head of the acclaimed Rhodes Wrestling Academy. As the son of the iconic American Dream Dusty Rhodes, Dustin understands the immense pressure that comes with being a second-generation performer. He saw her untapped potential and offered her a lifeline, an invitation to move to Texas and train with him. It was the second chance she desperately needed, and she knew it might be her last. Arissa made a life-altering decision. She packed her bags, left her life in California behind, and threw herself into the craft the old-fashioned way. The Rhodes Wrestling Academy was a world away from the polished WWE Performance Center. It was a place built on hard work and respect, where you earn your stripes with sweat, not your name. Under Dustin's mentorship, she didn't just heal her body, she rebuilt herself from the ground up, learning to translate her legitimate BJJ skills into the language of professional wrestling. Dustin was blown away by her dedication. In an interview, he praised her work ethic, saying, "She's come off of modeling in California and things like that. We're working with a personal trainer and she's trying to get everything, all her ducks in a row. She's doing a great job, but this is only the beginning for her." After months of this grueling, quiet work, her moment of truth finally arrived. In March 2023, Arissa LeBrock competed at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy's Student Showcase, her official public in-ring debut. It wasn't in a massive arena under TV lights. It was in an intimate setting in front of a small, passionate crowd who knew the sacrifice it took just to get there. When she stepped through those ropes, she wasn't a failed prospect or just a celebrity's daughter. She was a survivor. She had beaten the injury and the self-doubt. Competing in a tag team match, she showed off a powerful, brawling style that blended her raw strength with her martial arts background. That night, she proved that the devastating setback that felt like a tragic ending was actually just the detour that forged her character. She had finally become a professional wrestler on her own terms. Arissa LeBrock's journey proves that a legacy isn't just about what you're given, it's about what you build. She was born into Hollywood royalty but chose the grit and grind of the wrestling ring. She faced down a career-threatening injury that would have ended most careers and refused to be defeated. She is a captivating blend of her parents' star power, her mother's magnetic presence, and her father's martial arts prowess. But she's channeling it all into something completely new, something forged in her own fire. The tears in the ring were not of sadness, but of triumph over pain, doubt, and the crushing weight of expectation. She isn't just riding her family's coattails. She's adding a whole new, unpredictable, and dangerous chapter to their name. The comeback story is underway, and Arissa LeBrock is building her career from the ground up. The question is no longer if she has the heart for wrestling, but how far her talent and determination will take her. What do you think is next for Arissa? Should her path eventually lead back to WWE, or could she join her mentor in AEW? Let us know in the comments below.